Good morning. This is Ms. Maljevic. Today we are doing and moving on to lesson 2 of harnessing human energy, which is our unit that we are doing in Amplify, which we access through Clever on TeachHub. Okay? So we are going to remember that as the student energy scientist, we are investigating this question. How is it possible to charge electrical devices when the power is out? Scientists ask questions to make observations. Then, when we think that they have an idea about how something works, they make an argument to support that idea. Scientific argumentation is the way that scientists communicate, evaluate, and revise their explanations about the natural world. On the next slide, you are going to see many of the argumentation resources that we'll use this year. Take a minute to look at the resources, and you will learn more about them later. So here are the resources. The purpose of the scientific argument is to convince others using evidence and reasoning. Think about what you would do in everyday life if you were having an argument. The whole point of having an argument with someone is trying to have someone see your side, to see your side. So if you think that you're right, you're going to give all the evidence that is going to support why you are correct. It's the same thing in a scientific argument. So you have a question, you have a claim, and then you have the evidence and the reasoning. So it's a scientific argument. These are going to be the 4 things to the scientific argument. The reasoning tool, so you're going to have your evidence, this matters because, and then therefore. And then the argument sentence starters, I think this evidence supports this claim because, I don't think this evidence supports this claim because, I agree because, I disagree because, and why do you think that? And then this is the evidence gradient, which we'll talk about that more later. So the purpose of a scientific argument is to convince others using evidence and reasoning. So how to use argumentation in your everyday life. How do we use it in our everyday life? When you think that you're right, which Ms. Maljevic thinks that she's right about 99.9% of the time, I'm going to give you the reasons as to why I know that I'm right, and you should think that I'm right. All scientific arguments begin with a question about the natural world. A scientific argument begins with a question, just like in the scientific method. The scientific method is still going to be used. All those concepts are still going to be used in this unit. So here are some examples of questions scientists might ask. Why do things move the way that they do? Why do different materials have different properties? What causes substances to change? Scientists gather information about the natural world and use it as evidence to help answer their questions. The proposed answer is called the claim. So the second part in the scientific argument, which first we just said begins with a question, and the second one has a claim that proposes an answer to the question. Next, a scientific argument needs to have evidence to support the claim, and it needs to clearly explain how the evidence in the argument supports the claim. In this unit, we're going to participate in scientific argumentation to find the best answers to our questions. And the next few slides will provide different ways to think about the scientific argument. So, scientific argument begins with a question, has a claim that proposes an answer to the question, has evidence that supports the claim, and clearly explains how the evidence supports the claim. So the reason why. And we went over this before. So all scientific argument starts with a question about the natural world. The claim is a proposed answer to a question about the natural world, and then here's your evidence, the information about the natural world that is used to support or go against, so refute a claim. So you're going to have 2 of those. So on the next slide, you have the 3 words that are important for understanding what the scientific argumentation is. So a claim, a proposed answer to the question about the natural world. Evidence is information about the natural world that is used to support a claim. Reasoning is the process of making clear how your evidence supports your claim. So let's think a little bit about what makes a strong, convincing scientific argument. We will also look at two tools that can help us use evidence and reasoning in an argument. So let's look at the argument about Coca-Cola. So the question about the natural world, which involves Coca-Cola, is how does drinking Coca-Cola affect your health? So now the claim is Coca-Cola is bad for your health. And the evidence is cola contains a caramel coloring ingredient called Formel. So let's use an everyday example to think about making a convincing argument. Is it a convincing argument that this is the claim? The claim is that the Coca-Cola is bad for you, and the reason is because it's caramel coloring, which is called Formel. Why or why not? Let's think about it. The argument has a claim. The evidence is there. What is the argument missing? The argument is definitely missing something. It's still missing something because people still drink Coca-Cola. So if it was that bad for your health, I don't think that Coca-Cola would be in business. So think about it that way. So the one reason the argument is not very convincing is that it does not explain how the evidence supports the claim. It does not explain what Formel is or how it relates to health, which is absolutely true. Why do people still drink Coca-Cola? Think about it. It's not explaining why the Formel is bad for your health. So the part of creating a strong argument is by making your reasoning clear, by showing how the evidence connects to the claim. Many people forget explaining their thinking clearly in an argument. So to help us, we'll use a graphic organizer called the reasoning tool, and that's using the Coca-Cola argument as an example. So tomorrow, when you guys do your lab, we're going to be using the reasoning tool, the graphic organizer, to help you balance out your evidence and your claims and your reasonings. So the reasoning tool, the claim is placed in the last column, which is therefore. This shows there is a missing connection between the evidence and the claim in the Coca-Cola argument. All the evidence says is that it has the caramel coloring, which is called Formel. It doesn't explain why Formel is bad for your health. How does the information make the argument more convincing? Formel is a food coloring that caused cancer in lab rats. Many things that are bad for rats are bad for other living things like humans. So does this evidence make Coca-Cola containing Formel bad for your health? Yes, it absolutely does make it more convincing. So how does your Coca-Cola affect your health? Coca-Cola is bad for your health. Cola contains Formel, which is a food coloring that has based cancer in lab rats. Many things that are bad for rats are bad for other living things, such as humans. Therefore, drinking Coca-Cola is harmful to the health of humans. The cola argument in the previous slide includes reasoning, and it makes it clear on how to support the evidence to the claim. And the next one is the evidence gradient, which let's think about the evidence. The tool is called the evidence gradient, and you will see this tool to look carefully and critically at the evidence that you collect. So you use the evidence gradient to evaluate your evidence. The strongest evidence goes at the top, less strongest goes in the middle, and the weak goes at the end. So it's kind of like a high evidence, strong evidence, a medium one. It could go, but it couldn't go, and then one that just really has the information, but is not a strong claim as to why the evidence should support the claim. So this part we're actually not going to do. We will hopefully revisit this If you guys have any questions or concerns, please do Ms. Maljevic a favor and pretty please email or private message me. Okay? You have the Google form that you do need to complete, and nothing on Clever or Amplify for today. Okay? All right, guys. Have a great Wednesday. Talk to everyone soon.